Welcome to Cerebral Cocktail, where we have real conversations with friendly people. I am Smiley, part of Man's Mansion crew.
Hi, I'm Alec.
It's Jordan here.
Nah, that's not how it sounds. How's it going, guys?
Lucas, up and ready. Let's get it.
Coronavirus, highlight of 2020 so far, and probably for the rest of the year. For about a month now, we've been under shelter-in-place orders from the governor, from local government. California's pretty on top of this, as best as they can be.
Quarantine life in whole has been detrimental to my finances, but as far as a day-to-day, everyday living, it has not been that hard for me. So I did end up losing my job due to coronavirus. Everybody that I was working with got fired indefinitely for the foreseeable future. So that's been kind of hard. I've had to file for unemployment. I've had to seek out the relief funds that California has.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of been difficult in that sense.
It's been a process for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah. What's the number now for unemployment? It's got to be close to 20 million people unemployed now have
I know
filed
last
Nationwide
time I
or
looked,
California?
nationwide.
10%.
Yeah.
I know that last week alone, California had like a 3 million claims filed.
Mm-hmm.
So that puts California alone at, I think, 15 to 20 million, and that is so much higher, and that's a mass amount of volume for them to deal with.
That is a lot. Yeah, that's a really big number. Though, haven't seen those numbers since around the Great Depression. I'm pretty sure.
The
is what
recession
people
was
are saying.
bad, but I would say this isn't as
But
bad
even-
as a recession yet.
Do you guys blame anybody for the coronavirus?
I blame humanity.
You blame
Yeah.
humanity.
Super deep.
Yeah, go talk about that.
I think we as a people did not handle the situation very well, regardless of nations.
I remember I read somewhere somebody called this the Chernobyl. They were specifically talking about America, but if China fudged up some numbers, then you know that
I mean, I think I
Just
think
humanity.
multiple countries have some blame.
right.
Obviously, it started in China, and China's getting a lot of backlash right now. And I don't know all the details about if they did,
Right.
try to keep it under wraps. And like Lucas said, they had some whistleblowers. that
Yeah.
In December, were trying to come out and say that the virus was spreading, and it was a lot
Yeah.
more dangerous than what they're leading people to believe.
So if we follow the timeline right, the first time you really hear about this coronavirus seriously is in around December, closer to
Yeah.
January.
But the first signs were October.
Okay.
That's what we know is that in Wuhan they were starting to see it come up, like at least a new strain of the influenza in mid to early October, like the 12th or something like that. And they did a great job at keeping it under wraps. Like, 100% my opinion, but they are a very restrictive government, and they want to be seen a certain way, and there is also a lot of preventative measures taken to make sure that people don't really find out kind of what's going on,
China has a certain amount of responsibility. Correct. You can't argue that. But then after a certain point, when news got out, when the World Health Organization, Center for Disease Control started sending out alerts, right? Like, hey, the potential of this is, fatal. The potential of this could be really fatal.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think there could have been a lot done beforehand to prevent this, because the president, or whoever the fuck he is, he went to China and he evaluated what was going on in early January. And he said they have it under control, and then they peaked a month later. So
Right.
obviously there was some kind of bullshit going on. I don't really know to what extent or why exactly, but
Right. So it sounds like you blame China. You
Yeah,
reference back
well,
to a lot of
yeah, and I want to make it clear that it's not like coming from an aspect of any sort of racism or any stereotypes, anything like that. It's
You more
just
so blame the government.
well, yeah, it's like the facts of the
I'm
actions that have been
strictly
taken.
talking government.
Yeah, I just wanted to make that clear.
My Asian friend Alan, I blame him.
Yeah, fuck that kid.
Well, like Bill Gates in a TED Talk in 2015 said
Mhm.
that if anything, over 10 million people in the next few decades die, it won't be from a war or missiles. It would be from microbes.
Yeah.
And we have to invest in the system to stop the epidemic instead of nuclear deterrence.
Yeah, preventative stuff.
That was in 2000.
Well,
That was in
it's a
2015.
fact. Influenza has a new strain every 5 to 10 years. There's a new strain of it, and that's what SARS was. SARS was the last example of a preemptive sort of influenza virus that developed into something new. And now there's this, and there's been so many people to just be like, we need to have this fund set here for when this happens, because we literally know it's going to happen, but still people aren't ready. And there also was a little bit of misguidance in the beginning as to how everyone was going to take care of it. It was a joke, you know. No one really took it seriously. I don't think any of us took it seriously when we first heard about it.
I took it serious the very first time I heard about it. I started washing my hands more, being
Yeah.
cautious of my hands. I was touching my face, sorry. But moving past ground zero of whatever happened in China pre-pandemic, the news gets out, it becomes something to be cautious of. And still, you had many places, and even now, there's still many people that have power
Yeah.
that are, you know, making it conflicting, that are saying, no, it's not that big of a deal, we're going to be fine, it's just a flu, it's this and that, which I've heard a lot. I've heard it
Not just Trump, basically. I mean, everyone's heard him say it. It has.
in the very beginning. Yeah, I
Yeah.
heard it a lot. It's just the flu, which, okay, the flu does kill a lot more. The flu's killed more people.
Well, at this point, the rates would be much higher. For originally, influenza had a much higher death rate, but now this is starting to get up there. A little
What
bit.
is the total count now?
United States alone, there's almost 50,000 deaths.
Is it 150?
190,000.
And we have 150 of them?
No, we have almost 50.
Oh, you were
That's-
like, what
That's a good
the?
amount.
That's crazy.
And,
That is a good amount.
But you have to consider the increase, you know, because at first it was really slow to like.
Right.
Yesterday,
Where is it up
115 people died in California.
Yeah, 15 died in San Diego yesterday alone.
Yeah.
Damn. we
It's
took
still
the
going
picture.
up. People aren't really talking about it as much because it kind of seems like old news, but it's still very much prevalent all around the world.
It's just
Oh,
people don't wanna
definitely.
be-
People want to be blind to it, yeah. That's why alcohol sales are up across the board. There's people that are running out. They said that whiskey, I think it's Jack Daniels, said that they might have to just go out for right now because they can't manufacture anymore. They're basically out of bottles. So that's it for them until they can reopen their factories and all that. But that's the type of effect it's having is people want to be fucked up. And that's why also weed is very much...
Imagine if we run out of alcohol before this is over.
That'd be fucking crazy.
I wouldn't be surprised, you know?
I would.
Insane.
You would be surprised if the world that is on lockdown
Well, I'm
went
saying-
through all the
I
alcohol.
meant the United States.
Right. You're right. Yes. Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just saying the United States.
It wouldn't surprise me if there were still some factories out in like South America and Europe that are producing wine and are producing tequila.
Oh,
and
yeah, I
different
guess.
types of liquors.
So I guess certain kind of liquors.
Yeah,
will
I
go
don't
up.
think. I think as far
Maybe.
as America's infrastructure is going right now, they're on full lockdown across the board. I don't know how other countries are reacting to it, but you could have a couple people at the barrels bottling wine. You know,
Right.
like that doesn't necessarily stop. It's more so these mass quantities that they have to make of like whiskey, where they have to put it in the electric thing. And they have to like fucking let it what is it when you ferment it? You keep it
Like
in.
barrels.
Yeah, they have to like stir that shit and like get
Still
it
it.
just right. When do you guys think it's gonna end? Like this, originally people were saying that we should be open by Easter Sunday, and that was in the beginning.
Dude,
of
they're
everything.
saying that they're saying that we're gonna open May 6th now instead of the
no,
4th.
oh no, fuck.
She's talking about Starbucks. Her
Oh,
Starbucks.
Oh, okay. I
Right?
think like the
Yeah.
government.
Yeah. So I don't know how we're gonna do that, but I think this is gonna last until like June, July.
Yeah.
Part of me wonders if the holidays are gonna happen. If people will be able to
People
spend
are
holidays.
definitely still gonna get shit faced on the 4th of July. I'll tell
No,
you that.
I'm talking about Christmas, Thanksgiving.
Oh.
I was
Yeah.
thinking Christmas.
That's
The only
for me, that's
thing
out of the
where-
range of possibility. I don't think that as a world, could afford to do that.
Yeah.
I think that is out of the realm of like economic prosperity because that'll set us back so far that that's gonna take a lot of time to recover.
Honestly, I don't know even like about Halloween and all of that stuff because
Halloween's like
I know it's all people gathering and all that
That's
too.
a hot take.
it's a hot take.
A lot of people like Halloween.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not. What I'm saying is, it's not a big economic push. Like people make.
No, but I'm
decent
saying
money
like,
off
are
of
we
it,
gonna be
but
celebrating it, or it's still gonna be like social distancing? Still gonna be like no gatherings, like.
You have to grind from 6 feet away. Leave-
Grind.
leave room
I'm
for
over thinking
pieces.
trick or treating.
Yeah, I was thinking trick or treating.
Nah, I was thinking
I
get
want
ratchet at the
candy.
bar.
I'm
What the
kidding.
fuck?
It's gonna happen.
I think it's gonna be over by mid
we should be
June.
prepared for no summer.
Yeah, I'm already. I have a month ago. I prepared for no summer.
Yeah, I prepared for my birthday to be.
When
quarantined.
when the whole lockdown thing happened for like 2-3 weeks, I was just every morning
Yeah.
checking news, checking numbers.
I know you would always have a different story every time I woke up, and I'd be like, all right, I guess I have to match her then. So I'd look at the news in the morning,
Yeah, now I
and I'd be
don't
like,
because it's just overwhelming at this point. It's a lot of the same stuff, and it's
But
just like
that's also the scary part is that it's overwhelming, but we should still feel the need to stay persistent on.
I still check every once in a while. I
Yeah,
just don't check daily
because
like
then
I
it kind
used
of gets
to.
out of perspective, and you start taking it less seriously.
Yeah.
Like obviously, we still want to like hang out and like have people over, but we do have to be very careful, you know, and very
Yeah.
minimal with it and the interactions of it all. Like,
Yep.
It's been hard not going out and everything, but I think overall we've all handled it pretty well.
Right, but the true test comes in however long this lasts. Because sure, at first it can be easy. You're like, this will be over soon, it's fine. But with no definite date of when this will be over,
Yeah.
you know,
It's all just a pipe dream right now.
Right, so you have to maintain that same discipline the entire time, right? So it's hard. It's hard to do that. It's hard.
That's why I
Most
bought
people
3
don't
new
have
video games in one day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think all of our discipline has already kind of started to fade off from like when it
Yeah.
first happened compared
Mhm.
to even just right
Yeah.
now. You know, like we have friends over in the other room waiting to hang out
Yeah.
with us. That
Exposed.
wouldn't have happened, you know, a while ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always try to, because it is law, I always try to make sure it stays under 10,
Yeah.
because you can't have more than 10. That's kind of just the rule I'm following now. It doesn't.
And
Yeah.
then I just mainly stay in my room.
There's part of me that thinks I had it at first, like in the very beginning, because I felt how it kind of felt, but then it just went away. But I don't know. It was kind of like what your mom said, but I didn't feel that bad. But I felt similar stuff.
My mom was ready to write her will.
Yeah.
What'd your mom say?
When my mom got sick, like before this.
Her
happened,
mom was
like,
sick like in January.
Yeah.
January
It wasn't even
before-
before though. It's technically during.
Was it like same kind of symptoms?
No, it was. She had it. She
Oh,
she was
really?
ready.
It's not
for-
confirmed, but yes,
Yeah.
it's like
You don't
really.
know.
Yeah,
Is,
no.
like,
The
really
biggest
spot
thing.
on?
Yeah, it's
the
not
biggest
confirmed,
thing
but-
is the eyes.
She thought she was gonna
That's what
die.
I read.
That's how
Really?
bad it was. Yeah. She said she couldn't.
What do the eyes look like?
A lot of telltale with the eyes is if you wake up and your eyes are crusty like every day and they're watering a lot when you wake up, then I didn't know that at all.
Haven't
until
heard
I-
that.
until I really looked into it, but they said that there's discharge that will come out of your eye when you wake up as like a telltale sign, like
Like way too much.
Really?
yeah, like
Because I
like
think,
your
like,
eye
everybody,
crushed
you know,
shut.
You know, Sandman visits
Here,
you when
I
you
got
sleep. You know, sometimes you're gonna.
I'll
have a
confirm.
crusty
I think
eye, but-
he's speaking excessively, right?
Yeah.
Not like your typical.
Yeah, it's like literally like you can't
Eye
open your eye
boogers.
because a lot of like it's almost sealed it shut.
That's very interesting. Do you remember when my eyes were doing that for like 2 days, 3 days?
See, that's what I'm saying. A lot of that's how you know.
How long ago was that?
Around the same time that
Time.
Your immune system
Cause,
kicked ass.
but
Good for
I'm
you.
so thankful,
Good for
because then
you, Jess.
if I was exposed to it and I did get it, then
Mhm.
okay, like
but
I
when
didn't
you
get
got
it as
really
bad.
sick
Yeah,
that
and
one
if it
time,
came
that
back
was
around,
scary
you probably,
too.
you know, have
my
another
yeah,
life
it's like a
defense.
That's
vaccine.
what my mom
My
is saying.
body
She's
will
all
be
like,
more.
I'm immune now, and I was like, well, she's like, I'm still not gonna let my guard down, but I'm better now than ever.
Yeah,
And I was like,
came
I wouldn't
stronger.
go so far as to say that I'm immune, but my immune system is a little more.
stronger.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, patients who have contracted coronavirus have ocular symptoms, conjunctivitis, the inflammation of the membrane covering the eyeball, referred to as pink eye, wet and weepy eye. It'll have
Yeah, I was so confused because I was like, what the fuck is wrong with my eyes? Like, it was so
You
bad.
probably just chalked it up to like seasonal allergies, you know.
No, I was just like, do I have fucking pink eye? Like, Dude,
That's
what the
crazy.
fuck is going on? And it lasted
then-
for like 2-3 days.
And then it went to her other eye, and it was just like.
Yeah, it started one eye, and then like it shifted to the other eye,
You
and
didn't
then it was
really have a
both
cough,
eyes.
Like this whole time.
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
It's red injected eye with watery discharge and a sandy gritty feeling in the eye, and then it crusts up in the morning when you wake up.
Yeah.
So, you probably did have it realistically.
Possible.
That
'Cause
is-
it was so
that's the
random.
one thing that I haven't heard anybody say, but that is like the definitive thing about all this is like a lot of this stuff, like the sore throat and the congestion and the sneezing, like you can't really tell.
You can't
But
distinguish
if you're
that from a
getting
cold
that,
or
because
flu.
you don't just get like pink eye out of nowhere.
Yeah,
It's
that
either
shit goes so out of
fecal,
nowhere.
It's fecal to ocular transfer, or it's
Mhm.
this basically, which that's my. There's a couple days.
For a hot
I-
minute, I thought I had cancer or something.
Dude, I was legit waking up like I think it was like a month ago or something, and my eye like I would try to open it and I couldn't open it, and I'd pull it out and I'd like wipe it and they're like boogers, and I was like, what the fuck is this? And
Yeah,
I
shit
had
would like
no
seep
idea.
out of my eyes, and I'd be like, bro. So, what do you guys think the world, whether your own personal world or the world around you or the world as a whole, what do you think it's gonna look like after?
Different, very
All
different.
this.
There's been a
It's
lot
gonna
of
be
thoughts
hard to
out there, a
combat.
lot of new kids, a lot of
A lot of
STDs,
thoughts,
yeah.
like thirsty hoes.
Yeah, these hoes need to get dick down
Okay,
after
I
this quarantine.
don't mean this seriously. Just for
It takes away
comedic
the-
reasons. There's gonna be a lot of new 18-year-olds out there.
Oh
you
my
weirdos.
fucking
Oh
god.
my god.
Fair enough disclaimer
then.
then.
I think that was kind of funny though.
Yeah.
I in no way intend to.
I don't think any joke can beat the last one when
For
you're
his
like,
Netflix
by the
series,
way.
this is going to be the first clip, and then it's going to cut to the newsreel. This just in, Jordan Moran arrested for child sex ring in Connecticut.
I said 18. When did that happen?
The Oprah Winfrey scandal.
Hella. Just have little children
Wait, what is
somewhere in a
that?
warehouse.
You didn't hear about that?
No.
Oh no, that wasn't real though. That was
No, it
some
wasn't.
bullshit,
It, but it was
okay.
like a scandal that got
It was funny.
attention.
What about R. Kelly? That's real.
That is real.
That's just weird, bro. I
What
don't
about
great.
what about Epstein? No, Weinstein.
Epstein.
Weinstein.
No,
Epstein.
oh,
Epstein. I thought it was
I,
Epstein.
well, there's both.
There-
Harvey
yeah, there's two.
Weinstein, and then there's Joel Epstein.
They were friends
What was
apparently.
Weinstein?
Of
What
course.
is
So was
Harvey
Robert
Weinstein,
Kraft.
the Hollywood producer, he got convicted in New York, and then he's on trial in LA. Actually, I think he got convicted and was found guilty in
Yeah.
both, and then he contracted coronavirus. You
Yeah.
know, talk about karma.
Really though, bro. The world's
Just
as
date
good as
somebody
that.
your age.
Okay, sorry,
It wasn't
his
that, it was, like,
wasn't that. It
sexual
was just like
confrontations.
Oh,
Yeah.
like,
forced
He was-
copulation.
yeah, like, he
usually
was doing
people
some
their
shit, 'cause
age
he had
don't
money, he was the
like them
producer.
because it's not
Yes.
the mature
He
looking,
had- he
but
decided where all the
someone
money
younger who's
went in
more
a film,
naive and
so-
is-
Yeah.
Yeah, he would
All
definitely
predatory-
take advantage of
predatory
actresses, and if like he made a move on them and they made a big deal out of it, he would like ice them out. It's like, okay, you're not gonna be in Hollywood
Yeah,
anymore.
He did it to Uma
Like-
Thurman.
Wow.
You know, actually, no, not
Quid
that
pro
was
quo.
That
Quentin
sounds familiar.
Tarantino in the scene
Yeah,
in
Quentin
Kill
Tarantino.
Bill where Uma Thurman gets spat on in the like the black and white when she's getting talked to by Bill,
Bill.
right? Yeah, that's Quentin Tarantino that spits on her face.
Are you serious?
Legit, he was like, I want to do that. So he goes up to this bitch, and she's just laying there, and he's fucking yelling at her, and then just hawks a loogie right in her
Dude,
face.
that's
He's
crazy.
fucking crazy. I like some of his movies, not gonna lie, because they're very
He's a weird
they're
looking
good
guy
movies.
though, man. I
He's
could
creepy
definitely,
as
I could
fuck.
definitely
She
see
gets
him
spit on. I thought
capable
she
of
spits
doing
No,
some
she
weird
gets
on the
spat on.
deputy.
Watch it back. There's a scene where she's like
She gets-
getting confronted by Bill, and he's like about to like kill her, and he like spits on her.
I know what scene you're talking about now, and that's kind of the scene I thought he was describing when she's like,
Yeah, I
on
don't remember her
last
Was-
breath,
getting.
laying in the church.
I know she gets
Yeah, survives. Bad bitch.
baddest bitch has to be right.
I think that might be my favorite Quentin Tarantino movie, or the one that we
Yeah,
just
Quentin
watched.
Tarantino defends
Black
choking
Mamba.
and spitting on Uma Thurman during Kill Bill
what was it
production.
called? Django Unchained.
Django, yeah,
I think that's number 3 after both Kill Bills.
yeah.
I think that's in sequential.
I really like Quentin Tarantino films. I really like Kill Bill.
They're
I guess
really
I should
artistic.
say
Dude,
Kill
Django
Bill is
Unchained is fucking
crazy.
lit. Come on.
Django is really just his style.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
he
yeah.
has a very distinct
Are
style,
we
but
doing masks or no masks?
Yeah. but he also he is a he steals stuff, you know. But isn't like nothing's really original in Hollywood unless it's original and then you get
I
exploited.
still haven't seen his new movie, but it's
Once
on Amazon
Upon a
Prime
Time in
now.
Hollywood?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not really what I
Where's-
thought it was going to be about, though. I thought it was going to be way more Manson, and there was, like, no Manson in it at all. But it, you know,
Yeah,
the
it's-
acting was good. Brad Pitt and
I mean, it's
fucking
Brad
Leonardo
Pitt
DiCaprio
and-
did a good job.
You
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah.
So it's hard to beat that.
You're my best friend.
I mean,
It's-
for his last movie, I thought he would go out on a bigger bang. You
Yeah.
know, like,
Well, I don't think it's his
You
last
saw
movie.
it?
No, I didn't. I just,
Oh,
I read
okay.
reviews and
I like
based
the
on what
ending.
you
The
guys are
ending was
saying-
cool.
Right, but that's what.
It bites his nuts.
Okay,
That was fucking awesome.
giving away movies, man. We don't do
Yeah,
spoilers
spoiler
here.
Idea what I'm talking about?
Well, some people might.
I mean, I guess the only one the ones who watched it.
Yeah, exactly. Bites his nuts.
You didn't help me
I
out
know,
there.
What are you
I
gonna
know
deduct from that?
somebody's nuts get bit off now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's
Not
that.
necessarily.
So it's. I think it's really drawn out, and then.
What, his career? Or-
No, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood,
Oh,
and then
yeah.
like the last 15 minutes is classic Tarantino, and then it's over.
Yeah, I just think
How
he
long
went,
was the
he, went,
movie?
he went for
It's like
style
2.5
points. He
hours,
went
isn't
for-
it?
Yeah, he went for style points. He didn't really care as much about where the story went, I don't think. He more just wanted to go.
But even then, it was so drawn out, you know.
Yeah, there was some points in it that were pretty slow,
Like-
but you know, his movies are his movies, and you can always tell it's a Tarantino
Right.
movie.
I watched the beginning of it. I fell asleep for like an hour of it probably,
still
and then I woke
going.
up, and then I
You still watched
basically
the whole
like I
movie?
didn't miss anything that hour that I
Yeah,
passed
pretty
out.
much. There's just be scenes with what's the girl's name? Manson's first victim, basically the blonde girl that he picked
Oh
up.
right, I don't know.
She's played by
She's in Suicide Squad.
yeah.
She's a
Harley Quinn.
yeah, her.
Yeah.
Whatever. Her.
Robbie Margot.
Margot Robbie.
Margot
Yeah,
Robbie,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
She
yeah.
was in Wolf of Wall Street. She was
Yeah.
Dude, she has scenes in
And
Once
that
Upon a
movie
Time in
got down.
Hollywood where she's literally she's not doing anything. She like sees that she's in a movie and then goes up and buys a ticket to see the movie and then watches herself in the movie and like that's it pretty much for that whole scene. There's no point, like there's no texture to her character at all.
Yeah.
She doesn't serve much of a purpose. She never really joins Manson in the entirety of the movie, as far as I remember.
All right.
Yeah. So after post coronavirus, we
Oh,
found a vaccine. The world is moving forward. What does it look like? I've read some stuff. The workforce
That was
is
cute.
gonna
Shrink by
Yeah.
like what 22% or some shit.
no. So I saw a headline for an article, and it was talking about how the way businesses function, the way things are set up, can be completely different after all of this, because so there's the wealthy and the poor. Poor works for the wealthy. It's typically more often than not they are the working class. So given all this, businesses cannot thrive without workers. So they're saying that with all of this, workers are going to recognize their power
Mm-hmm.
and kind of use that to leverage at least fair,
Yeah, like
You know,
healthcare and dental shit like that.
kind of like what
benefits.
happened with the Industrial Revolution after all
When
that,
they
because
formed
before kids could work
Yeah.
and there was no, you could work.
Well, unions don't
18
even really
hours a
work
day.
that well, that's the problem. Is they just reforming the system as a whole because they like,
Right. Well, I'm not
businesses
specifically
will-
talking unions.
Yeah,
I'm
but,
saying like
that's-
that revolution.
In essence, that's what a union is, though. Is worker rights. But businesses will tell you not to join unions. Like they
Well, because it doesn't benefit them financially.
exactly.
It costs
but at
them
that
more.
point, you have to give the employee that choice.
You're telling
to
me
make.
Amazon can give up 5%
No, they
to
can't.
better, and
That-
even
no,
then
that's
that'll
what I'm
better
saying.
their lives so
That's What I'm
much.
saying is that unions can be reformed into something where the business takes part in it and it's not separate. from
Right,
it.
but why does it have to be a union? Why can't it
It's
just
not.
be?
I'm saying expanding on the concept. of
Right,
a
right.
union.
So that's what I'm saying. After all of this, like, as a whole, I think there's going to be, I think at least there should be a worker initiative to demand better for themselves. Because why does one person get to keep all the money that all these other people are working for and they cannot afford anything? They can barely afford.
People are gonna be
Living.
smarter,
Can I
and they're
at
gonna
least
be-
get a raise on the minimum wage?
Yeah.
Isn't it already? Didn't it go up in January? It's just-
California
Yeah. By
California
$1, it's like
goes up
13
50
yeah.
cents every
Yeah.
6 months.
Yeah. So we're at
Wait,
13
really?
right
Every
now?
Yeah.
6 months?
I'm pretty sure
Every
it's
Yeah,
6
6
it's
months, I
months.
thought it was-
I'm- I
Because
think it's every
January
year.
it was
Yeah, every year.
last January was 12, and then by June,
Oh,
July
yeah,
it was
13.
12.50.
Oh, wait, I meant
and
by
then
this
January it
was
jumped up.
13, yeah.
Did you see
Did
that
it?
on your
Was
paycheck?
12.50?
I
It
didn't
was
see
always
it.
12.
I wasn't getting 12.50.
Every
Well,
year
no, we
it jumps
weren't.
up a
I
dollar.
told that.
Every year it
Or-
jumps up a
I
dollar.
told Pete that.
But yeah, I think that's one perspective to look at. I think that would be really cool as
Yeah.
somebody who's a part of the working
But
slave
there's
class.
also a big chunk of people that
Sorry,
after this is
I didn't mean
over, they're gonna forget
Insensitively.
that this kind of happened and the effect that it had, and they're not really gonna give a shit enough to want better.
I just feel like people are gonna be smarter and look into like what corporations or what jobs did more for their employees during the pandemic.
Yeah, people need to realize that they have the power to do it. If we
Yeah,
all
that's what
come
I'm saying,
together,
is people need to be conscious of that fact.
right?
People need to have that shift in perspective, you know? Like that the world is not going to change unless like they ask for a change. And a lot of people are fine with being stagnant in that and just kind of hoping that it actually occurs.
Mhm.
But that never comes to fruition, you know? There has to be active minds in order for that to actually happen someday.
Well, you look at other nations, because America's kind of like, it's the staple, right? It's the most powerful nation in the world, or at least it was at whatever point. But you look at other places and they like revolt, they revolutionize, they come together for the same cause of wanting better for themselves. And I mean, it's still choppy, but it makes the change, you know, and it just sucks because you have to be wary of who you let in to reform it. Because then you take one greedy person out and you put another one in, and you're going to have the same result every time.
100%.
So it's just...
But at that point, it's back to Jordan's reason as to who's to blame. In the end, it's just people as a whole, you know, because there's just not enough being done, and people at the end of the day will be selfish. I think 90% of the time, the people that say if they had all this money to do this and that, majority of it's staying at home, you know, like they don't necessarily they don't do much with it. You know, they don't do much with that dream once it can actually be established. They'd rather just keep it for themselves. So I don't know. At that point, there's more hope that we need for humanity. You know.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that is something that comes out of all this too, because you would think, realistically, this would be something that brings everyone together, destroys nationalism, embraces globalism, because we're all fighting the same thing. It doesn't care if you're black or white or Irish or whatever, you know, Asian. It's, if you get it, you're just as likely to die as anybody else.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, there's that lack of consciousness is what got us here, and I just hope that for the future we can kind of establish a new sense of well-being for the world as a whole, so that we can better take care of ourselves once this happens again, which we know it will.
Yeah.
Every 5 years.
Well, to this scale, it's about every 100.
Yeah, but you know, it happens regardless every 5-10 years in some form or fashion, whether it's school shootings or viruses, whatever it may be.
Yeah, there's always something.
Yeah.
That causes a
Summertime
spike.
is coming up, so.
Yeah. Well,
all right.
It's episode 1. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Join us next time for episode 2. Keep it chill.
Thank you. Come again.
Thank you.